The air in the Toronto Police Service Headquarters auditorium was heavy, the silence before a significant announcement. Cameras clicked softly, briefly illuminating the serious faces of journalists. It was December 15, 2025. On stage, Detective Sergeant Alistair Finch stood behind a podium, flanked by charts draped in white sheets. His expression was somber, posture rigid. He adjusted the microphone. The small sound echoed. He began with carefully chosen words, each weighted by decades of unanswered questions. This was not a celebration, but a solemn resolution. Police said they were there to provide an update on 3 historical homicide investigations. Cases separated by years, even decades. Names were read aloud. Christine Prince, Claire Sampson, Gracelyn Greenidge. Easels revealed timelines, maps, and 3 photographs. Police said the person they would name was no longer alive, but the identification could unlock 3 separate tragedies. Christine Prince was 25 years old. She had come to Canada from a small town in Wales, searching for a bit of adventure before settling down. She found work as a live-in nanny in a quiet Toronto neighborhood, her days filled with the laughter of children and the rhythm of a new life in a new country. Her letters home carried stories of the city, the kindness of the family she worked for, and her plans for the future. She loved exploring Toronto's diverse streets, often taking the streetcar on her days off. On June 14, 1982, she finished her duties. Police said she was last seen boarding a St. Clair Avenue West streetcar. She was heading downtown, perhaps to meet a friend, or simply to enjoy a warm evening. She wore a simple dress and carried a small purse. No one could have known it was the last time she'd be seen alive. Her disappearance was sudden, leaving a void. Police reported her body was discovered along the Rouge River the next day. Claire Sampson was 23, trying to find her footing. She grew up in rural Ontario, drawn to the energy and opportunity of Toronto. She navigated adult life, working a series of jobs. Friends remembered her as bright, with a sharp wit and a fiercely independent spirit. She was cautious and street smart. The last sighting was near Jarvis and Gerrard, a busy intersection, even late. Witnesses told investigators they saw her speaking to a man before entering a vehicle that drove away. Nothing then seemed amiss. Days became a week. Her family grew frantic. Weeks later, police confirmed her remains were found in a remote area of Oro-Medonte Township, more than an hour's drive north. The case stalled, and her name joined the unsolved, a question that haunted her family for decades. Gracelyn Greenidge was 41. A dedicated, compassionate nurse who moved from Barbados to Canada. She built a life in Toronto and a community in the city's Caribbean diaspora, and at the hospital where she worked. Known for professionalism, calm, and kindness, a pillar for family in Toronto and back in Barbados. In July 1997, she failed to show up for a shift, a red flag. She was exceptionally reliable. Following protocol, the hospital contacted Toronto police for a wellness check. Officers arrived and, after gaining entry, made a tragic discovery. Police said Gracelyn Greenidge was found inside her home. Investigators secured the area and collected evidence. Her death shocked colleagues, neighbors, and community. As with Christine and Claire, the trail went cold. Her family waited for answers that did not come. For decades, the cases of Christine Prince, Claire Sampson, and Gracelyn Greenidge remained separate and unsolved. 3 distinct tragedies in 3 different filing cabinets, heavy with reports and fading photographs. New detectives reread timelines, re-examined evidence, hoping for something missed. The obstacle: few suspects, limited forensic technology. Biological evidence was collected and carefully preserved, stored for a breakthrough that did not yet exist. It became a race against time, and against the state of science. Years later, DNA analysis matured. Samples from all 3 cases were retested. The results were startling. A single profile linked all 3 scenes. But in the National Databank, there was no name. The unidentified profile, labeled Unknown Male Number 1, became the focus. For years, it was only markers in a database. Police knew the same person offended across 15 years, without a name. The next leap came from investigative genetic genealogy. Police say public databases used for ancestry could point to distant relatives. By uploading the unknown profile, investigators hoped for partial matches. Soon, genealogists found distant cousins sharing small DNA segments. From scattered connections, a family tree began to form. They worked backward to common ancestors, then forward through births, deaths, and moves. Police say the whispers in the code were finally starting to speak a name. Genealogists cross-referenced the tree with public records: census, births, marriages, obituaries. They sought a male from a specific branch, in or near Toronto between 1982 and 1997. The list grew smaller. Traditional methods filled in addresses and life details. The final step, police say, was a direct DNA comparison via a close living relative. The lab reported a conclusive result, the same source at all three scenes. Investigators concluded the identification was complete. In December 2025, police could finally name the profile, a process spanning more than 4 decades. Persistence, meeting, advancing science. The man identified by police was Kenneth Smith. At the December press conference, Detective Sergeant Finch provided a sparse, document-based biography. Police said Smith was born in 1947. He lived and worked in Toronto for many years, present during the 3 homicides, 1982 to 1997. He held various jobs in manual labor and lived at several addresses across the city. Police also confirmed he was known to them and had a violent criminal record, without providing specifics. He was never identified as a suspect in these 3 homicides during his lifetime. Investigators determined he died in Windsor, Ontario in 2019, about a 4-hour drive from Toronto. Police said he was 72 and died of natural causes. There would be no trial, no day in court, no confrontation. Police say he moved through the city's background, visible in other contexts, yet invisible to these investigations for decades. The announcement raised new questions. How many people knew him? How many lives did he touch? How did he remain a ghost so long? For 3 families, a name. For others, uncertainty. Police said identification brings answers, not full closure. At the conclusion of the December briefing, Finch shifted to the present. Investigators believe there may be more victims. The 15-year gap is a significant concern. Police are reviewing unsolved homicides and missing persons from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Toronto and beyond. They're looking for similar signatures or cases with no clear motive. To aid the work, Toronto police have issued a public appeal for information. They ask anyone who knew Kenneth Smith to come forward. His habits, associates, places of employment, vehicles, any small detail. Police released a 1980s photograph, hoping to jog memories. For some, December brought a measure of resolution. For others, a glimmer of hope. If you have information regarding Kenneth Smith, police ask you to contact them.